Hi everybody, Kira here at Unfurl. And today's video I am posing the question, do you ever feel like you're waiting for something? Waiting, but waiting for what? So there's this sort of expectant feeling, and you may be familiar with it, and it has come up for me over the last few weeks. It's been popping up into my awareness, and over the last 20 years maybe, I've every now and again had this little moment of, oh, what's that feeling? I feel like I'm waiting for something to happen. Do you know what I mean? And I know that in my younger years, I actually came across a diary the other night, and it was a diary from when I was 19. And in it, I had written the things that I was kind of waiting for. And in that, one of them was I was waiting to lose weight. I was waiting to be more intelligent. I was waiting to be more fulfilled. I was waiting until my career was up and running as an actor, which is what I was pursuing at that time. And I was waiting for all these things to happen. But I didn't say what it was that I thought was going to happen when I did those things. And the feeling that I got when I was reading it was that somehow when I achieved those things, that I was thin enough, that I felt intelligent enough, and that I was successful in my career. And when I got those things, then I would start to live, that I would start living. So that's the feeling that I got when I was reading back on the diary of sort of what it was that I was thinking that young me was waiting for. And I believe that this waiting sensation is something that's quite common in anyone who's experienced trauma, childhood trauma. That we get kind of frozen in time. There's a part of us, a young child part, that gets frozen in time, waiting for something. And the child has no awareness of what they're waiting for. But my theory is, having sat over the last week with this waiting feeling, is that we're waiting. Okay, I can't speak for everybody, so I'm going to say I, just because this has, as I have felt into it, this is what I have experienced, and you may or may not resonate with this. So I'll just throw it out there. The sense that I got when I felt into this waiting was, this part of me is waiting for the warmth of love. That this warmth that I'm waiting for is going to bring comfort, is going to bring safety, is going to bring a sense that I can relax. And so I was curious about this. I was curious about this waiting for love. And I talked with a friend about this the other day, and she kind of related to the feeling that I was talking about. And she said, well, how do we change this then? How do we give ourselves that so that we can be okay? And my instinct was, we don't try and start giving ourselves things. We don't try and change it. That this part of the healing journey, the healing of this particular strand of that trauma is to feel into the waiting, is to get a sense, to really tune into it. And so last weekend, I sat with the waiting feeling, not trying to get away from it. And I can only describe this as being a bit like a deep sea diver with a torch who's exploring a shipwreck that's under the water, which is kind of floating around in this murky water and examining this waiting feeling without trying to move anything or remove anything, but really just letting it be there and observing it with curiosity. So as I floated around and examined this internal feeling of waiting, the sensations that I was able to tune into, the sort of nuanced experience of this waiting it was like a feeling of contraction, holding, barely breathing, compressed into a tiny little space, a little ball of being. There was a kind of eeriness to it, silence, desolate, like a desert in a way, with those films that you see, the desert, it's completely barren, and just that sound of the wind, like the howling wind across this barren desert plain. So this was the experience of this waiting part of me. So I hope all these words aren't triggering you, but really I'm putting words to this nuanced, like magnified experience, because we're often avoiding this place. We don't want to feel this feeling because it's so hopeless. It's so empty. It's dead. It's the experience of living with the lack of love. It's living without the warmth of love. Love has a warmth. It sort of radiates like light. You can't see it, but you know it, you feel it when you're in the presence of it. So as a child, if you haven't experienced the warmth of love radiating around you, unconsciously we're suspended in this place of waiting for something that we don't even know that we're waiting for. And it's so difficult to be here that we spend a life avoiding it. And so the reason that I'm offering this experience out is because if you watch this video and you resonate with something that I'm saying, or even just hearing the words, your unconscious may go, oh, is that what I'm avoiding feeling? Okay. Yeah, I think I can cope with that. Because we're often avoiding things that we don't think we can cope with. with this sort of sense of dread. If we go beneath the surface into our unconscious, we're going to meet these monsters and within ourselves, these horrible aspects of ourselves. We don't know why, but we're afraid to go there. We're afraid of what we're going to meet. And so I've gone in here with my torchlight and I'm going around in the murky water of this place. And it's a really strange place, and there's a desolation to it. And yet it's okay. It's okay. It's doable. Once I'd gone beneath the skin of this experience, it was hard to access initially, because I was kind of jumping away and my mind was coming up with thoughts about things. So it took, I'm not even sure how quite I managed it, but I somehow managed to get underneath thoughts and into this place and stay in it and move around in it with curiosity. And then once I was in there, I was able to stay with this feeling, this waiting place. Waiting to be ignited is what it feels like. It's like meeting this internal space full of potential, the potential of who we are, the light of who we are, that is ignited into being in the presence of love, in the presence of presence. If that even makes sense, but in the presence of another, ideally our parents, but obviously we're watching these videos, because it just didn't work out that way. So there's a part of us suspended, unignited, unaware of ourselves as presence, unaware of ourselves as light, unaware of ourselves as love. And so only our own presence can do this bit now. Only being present with this waiting feeling. So it's to recognize. So this process, as it unfolded, it was to firstly recognize the sensation of waiting, then having a curiosity about waiting for what, and then kind of knowing it was the waiting for the warmth of love, and then working backwards from that, going, if that's what I'm waiting for, then internally there is the lack of that. There is the lack of the warmth of love. And then to move into that place and sit with the emptiness of love, the withoutness, and to be in there, and to not try and change it, to not try and visualize giving myself light, visualize giving myself love, visualizing doing anything that is going to change this. Only presence, only the being with this is what is required. And I can't know how I know that, but I do know that. I know it with every fiber of my being, that it's not necessary to do anything else. Only be with myself in here allowing it, and somehow knowing this is enough. This is enough. And it's a tricky place to access. It's a really tricky place to access. It is literally like going beneath the surface of the skin into this internal world of nuanced experience. Yeah. So I'm guessing that this is meeting the trauma. The trauma is the absence. This is meeting my trauma. I cannot speak for yours, although this may resonate. This is me meeting my trauma of yearning for the warmth of love. So for anyone out there who is waiting for the warmth of love, or waiting to get thin, or waiting to have X amount of money or the ideal job or any of those things, like, ask yourself, is that then what? What will I feel when I get those things I'm waiting for? Because you may find that it's not the thing that you're waiting for that needs to be got. It's the waiting. Be curious about that waiting. That's so quiet. So quiet. It's waiting for you. Waiting for presence. And who knows what'll happen then. Okay. Lots of love. Talk to you soon. Bye for now.